Hey, Mark Meldrum, Meldrum's Monster Garage, and I want to bring you a very special story. And actually, it's going to be a special story about a couple different people here. One is Cliff Gottlob, and he is the owner of the 1965 Z16, original owner, still owns it to this day, that I'm going to show you later in the video, but I want to give you some history on him. And I also want to talk about the person who helped me interview Cliff and his good friend Orlando Cruz. So let me tell a quick story. And if you don't want to listen to this, you can skip ahead and get right to the car stuff. But this is what the car community is all about. It's about telling stories and helping each other out, and it means a lot. I want to tell you. So today's Thanksgiving morning. I'm trying to get this all edited up and put together for you guys. I think you're really going to enjoy this story about Cliff and Orlando also. And, big thank to Patrick Glenn Nichols. He did an exclusive with Cliff a few years back on this Z16 while it was still in the barn. So, okay, let me get to the story. I know, yada, 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 Mark. Orlando's a very, very special person to me. He is a doctor, and you could say he saves some lives. He really does. Real quick story, a few years back when I was judging cars at MCACN, I woke up in the middle of the night with a terrible pain in my backside. And if you guys know what that's all about, it's a kidney stone. And I knew what was going on. And I called Orlando because he lives in the Chicago area. I called him at 2:30 in the morning on hopes that he would still be working in the emergency room. And by gosh, he called me right back and he says, "Oh, Mark, I'm so sad you're going through this. Here's what you need to do." And he went blah, 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 blah. And he says, I'll bring you some medicine in the morning when I see you at the show. So just that little bit of advice and some other medication that Orlando brought me that day allowed me to get through the day of judging. It was not comfortable crawling in and around cars, but it got me through the day. So it really saved me that day. But Orlando goes much, much further, especially with Cliff. Cliff had COVID a few years back, and things weren't going well. And Orlando and Cliff had already known each other because of the Z16 car. And Orlando actually came out to where Cliff was in the hospital and saw what type of medication he was on and changed his medication around and got him through COVID. And Cliff told me if it wasn't for him, he probably wouldn't be with us today. And so he saved a life. Oh my gosh. And I may be ad-libbing to the story a little bit. I don't have my facts exactly straight, but that's the basics of it. Cliff and Orlando have a very tight bond because of that life-saving and because of the Z16. And I'll tell you one little more story about Orlando. Our friend Sam Seguinato, who has a Z16 car, you guys probably know Sam. He's been in the Chevelle community for years and years and years, and always been a great friend, and always hang out with him. And we've gone out to, this year we went out to dinner, but Sam brought a friend. His name was Chick. It's kind of funny because Chick's my brother. But Chick was having some problems, and I hadn't even seen Chick yet at the show this year. He was in the hotel room and he was complaining and complaining and complaining. He was not feeling well. Hang on a second. Let me take a drink of water. Pause. All right, sorry about that. Had to get a drink of water. So back to the Chick story. Chick hadn't been feeling very well, and Sam was really concerned about him, even just getting around the show. We went over and got his scooter out of his truck and trailer over in the marshalling yards in Chicago. And so we had that all set up for him so he could at least ride around the show and be a little more comfortable, but Chick wasn't getting out of bed. And Orlando brought the Z16 car there, and Mike Ely walked over to Orlando and said, "Hey, listen, Chick, or listen, Orlando, we got a friend, Chick, he's over in the hotel and he can't get out of bed and blah, blah, blah. So Orlando and another paramedic, I'm not sure, he's part of the Chevelle community too. I can't recall his name, but Orlando and the paramedic went over to visit Chick in the hotel room. And as soon as Orlando walked in the room, he could, I guess he got a certain sense or smell that he was in having a diabetic episode. So they said, we can't mess around. You're having a diabetic episode and we got to get you to the hospital right away. They called an ambulance. They got an ambulance over there. They got Chick over to the hospital. And I think they ran some more tests and they found out that he actually had a heart attack also. And he's in this diabetic episode. And just bad news. Well, I still don't know the end story of Chick because Sam actually had to get home and after the show, and Chick is in intensive care. And anyway, if it wasn't for Orlando, I don't think Chick would be with us today. And I hope, it's a shout out to you, Chick, if you're listening to this story. I hope you're doing well. So Orlando is just, he's absolutely a lifesaver and such a nice guy. Love him to death. And he actually flew Cliff into the show, and you're going to see this interview. Now, Cliff, I had a chance to sit with him and talk to him. He's 86 years old and a little hard of hearing. He had to talk into one ear. Cliff and I talked a little bit before we actually did the interview, and he's a wonderful person. He's a U.S. Army veteran, and he was recently recognized for a mission he had in Vietnam. I guess it was an off-the-books thing, and he was actually wounded during the mission. Shrapnel came up, hit him in the side of the face, and he was able to make it back, I think, to Germany with his aircraft. And in his aircraft, he sat, and in the pilot's seat sat all this photography equipment. And I believe I'm right on this. It was actually a helicopter. And he had all the spy equipment there. So he flew over to Vietnam. He took a bunch of video. On his way back, he got shot at. And like I say, he sustained some wounds to his face and his body. And they got him out of the aircraft in Germany and nursed him back to health. And I believe that's when he was just discharged from the Army as a captain. And since the mission was top secret, nobody was supposed to know about it, never got a Purple Heart. Well, there's a story, and I'll put a link down there. He was recognized at the American Legion this past Veterans Day. There's a story, I'll put a link on it down below here. And he finally received his Purple Heart for that mission. So over 61 years later, he's received his Purple Heart and the proper recognition for the duty he did for our country. And when Cliff came to the show, he was all dressed up. He had his medals and his Purple Heart and his Vietnam veteran's hat. And it was really nice to sit and visit with him. And he was very gracious with me too, because I told him about some stories about my father that was in World War II, and he graciously listened to me, and I think he was pretty impressed with the stories I had. But I thanked him numerous times for going over to Vietnam. I mean, my brothers didn't have to go, and it was because guys like him went over there. And I just appreciate him so much for being a veteran, and you can't say enough good things. And I think Cliff will touch on that in the video. So I'm going to get to the video now. I'm sorry I'm blah, blah, blah and telling you these backstories, but it means a lot to me. There is a story out there. There's a book, and I know this isn't Z16, but it's called Corvette Miracle. And I suggest you go buy it on Amazon. It's a good read. It's about how Cliff and his race team made it all the way to the 1970 24 Hours of Daytona in a 67 L88 Camaro, or Corvette. And they kind of shocked the race world. And I won't give away what happened in the book, but it really was a miracle on how they got to the Daytona, 24 Hours Daytona, and raced and did really, really well in the race. Anyway, get this book. I'll put a link to the book down there too. So let's get to the interview. I apologize. Some of the sound, we were in a crowded room. I did have some microphones that have some noise canceling. I'll work on the video a little bit to get the best sound for you. But I apologize up front. Please listen carefully, because Cliff is kind of soft-spoken. Now he's 86 years old. And if you get a chance, go back and look at the video Patrick Glenn Nichols made. There's actually 2 out there. One is of the car, and one is interviewing Cliff. He's a true hero to me, because he's an engineering marvel. Me being a mechanical engineer and seeing a guy like this that came up with so many innovations for Chevrolet, didn't work directly for Chevrolet, but he was definitely a consultant. They sent him parts to test and evaluate and improve upon. I mean, you can thank this guy for the drippers on your big block Chevelles on the valve covers. He's the guy who came up with that stuff. And he's going to mention how many miles per gallon he got out of a Corvette. And he's not kidding around. I mean, this guy knew how. He went to Carter school. He's got an engineering degree from Heidelberg. I think 5 engineering degrees. And he's just a wealth of knowledge. So anyway, let's get to the interview with Orlando and Cliff, with me kind of just sitting there going, I didn't have much to say. Here we go.
Hey, Mark Meldrum, Meldrum's Monster Garage, and we're here with a very special person and a very special car we're going to talk about today. Over here to my right is Orlando Cruz, and Orlando is quite the knowledgeable person on 65, 66 Chevelles, and we're going to talk about this very special Z16 Chevelle that is still owned. He's the original owner, Cliff Gottlob. Yeah. And he was he's retired from the Army, captain from Vietnam, Purple Heart. Thank you for your service so much. And I'm going to let Orlando and Cliff talk about the car and ask some questions back and forth. Sure. So tell us about the car.
Well, to start with, Cliff is an engineer.
Okay.
And he had ties with General Motors. And so he would get forthcoming knowledge about these high-performance cars before the public would get this information. And having that information, he was able to place orders for cars and parts before the general population. You know, Cliff's background is racing and engineering, and he's actually contributed a lot to engineering with regard to General Motors production.
I'm going to move the microphone over here just to make sure we're getting good sound.
Oh, sure.
Have me hold on to it.
So, Cliff, we're going to ask you, a little bit more about the Chevelle. And can you tell us at what point did you decide to order this car?
Well, it was with Ralph Miller, who was the zone manager for Chevrolet in Wichita. And I had ordered 2 months before I ordered this one, the #1 Corvette with the big block engine, the 396 engine. This was in '65. And it was about 2 months later. I'd saved my money in service when I got paid. That's what I used for down payment.
So,
and I put $1,000.
okay. So through Cliff's ties with General Motors, he actually ordered the first 396 Corvette. He was the owner of that car.
Okay.
And while he was in Vietnam, Ralph Miller informed him that General Motors was building a 396 Chevelle. So Cliff decided to sell his Corvette to buy the Chevelle.
To buy this Chevelle.
To buy this Chevelle. And it's the car right behind us. Is that right, Cliff?
That's true. That's the way it happened.
So he picked this car up from Tubbs Motor Company in Ark City, Kansas?
Yes.
And he drove it for approximately 6 years before he put it away.
Now GM only wanted special people to have these 200 Chevelles. So
That's
you're
right,
considered
yeah.
one of these special people.
Well, thanks be to Vince Figgins with Chevrolet. He was a performance man. And he was in my corner, wanted me to be able to get permission to get it. But the other car that was sold in Wichita, Kansas at Yingling Brothers Chevrolet, that was Bobby Aylward. And Bobby was a close friend of mine. He raced Ace Sports Racing, and I raced Corvettes in SCCA.
Okay.
And,
Race car driver, pilot, veteran.
You bet. Well,
got it all going.
My pilot training and experience helped me win races
Yeah,
when I got
I can
out.
imagine. You had no fear.
No, that was for sure. But, incidentally, I don't mean to change the subject here, but I also have a letter from Carol Shelby.
No kidding.
When I was working with Brad Brooker. Brad's the one that scraped that letter off that back glass, the part of it. And I told him if he wasn't careful, I'd take that razor blade away from him and use it on his throat. So this car has quite a background. But Bobby drove the car, and he went down and ordered it. He was a millionaire. He was a close friend of mine, but he had Aylward Drilling Company. They had a lot of oil wells and stuff. So I was very lucky to have the friends that I had and their influence.
Now, did you know Dan Blocker?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
You mean Haas?
Yeah, Hoss Cartwright.
So can you tell us a little about the story with you and Dan regarding his yellow car and your red car?
Well, what it amounted to is I used this car as a work car on it, but I liked high performance, so it didn't bother me to break the speed limit over so often.
Okay.
But what it amounted to was Shelby wrote me this nice letter, which I showed Orlando, the letter from Carroll Shelby himself, where he complimented me on my mechanical engineering and also on, I went to their driving school.
Oh, okay.
Out there.
So tell us a little bit about your race with Dan Blocker.
Oh, yeah, Dan was out there. He had heard of me out at Riverside. It was Riverside, California. And he said, I'd like to drive that car, and I'll let you drive mine. It was a yellow Z16. In fact, I hope it's here. I'd like to see it if it was.
Okay.
And anyhow, what it amounted to was he threw me his keys and I threw him my keys. And he says, "You lead the way because I'm going to pass you in your car."
No kidding.
Oh, yeah. But he wasn't arrogant or snobbish or anything. He was a real gentleman.
Yeah.
Just unreal as an actor. Usually they're snoopy and,
Right.
and hard to get along with. But he wasn't. He was the opposite way. So we got out there on a stretch of road where he arranged it with the cops. He was an actor, so he got special privileges.
Okay.
And so at 140 mile an hour, that's all his car would run. It wouldn't go over 140.
Sure.
He pulled out and passed me in my car. And then he thanked me, for it.
For letting off the gas and letting him around.
Yeah, no kidding. That's right.
No, he knew how fast his car would go, and it wouldn't do 160.
I heard rumors that he broke a shifter on his car. Is that true?
I don't know.
I heard a rumor that he broke on one of these Z16
How
cars.
so?
He originally didn't have a yellow car. He had a different color car, and he broke the shifter on it. So they gave it back to General Motors, and then he got the yellow car.
Oh, that's interesting.
It was a different color that he got. That was the story I heard. I don't know if you ever heard
that may be why it didn't cost him anything to get the car.
Yeah.
On his version.
Right.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
But he was really a one person.
That's cool.
Really was.
So you've had the car all these years. When's the last time you actually drove it?
I think it was in 71.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, it was 1971.
Was it?
It was.
Oh,
Actually, when we were pulling the car out of its storage, out of its resting place of 50 years, we popped the trunk, and that license plate dated 1971 was still in the trunk.
Okay.
He's got it now in his shop.
I see.
So the car actually was last driven in 71, and at that time he was building his current shop. So the car actually sat outdoors for about 3 years.
Okay.
And when he built his shop in 74, then he moved it into that shop, and there it sat up until about a month ago.
And then, so Orlando's going to be the caretaker of your car, from what I understand.
Well, he's very knowledgeable on car restoration. So.
But I think we should leave this car just like it is. I love it.
No kidding?
Yes.
That's what I couldn't understand. What did they say, a barn find?
Yeah, it's a barn find. It's a timepiece. They're only original once, so we'll only see it in the condition like this once. As soon as you try to repaint it or polish it, it's a different car.
That's right.
And that's why we as car collectors really appreciate the cars when we find them like this.
Yeah.
And to me, it's important to keep the cars like this.
Absolutely.
I know you can't believe it, but it is.
Well, all I want to do is drive it again.
So, Cliff, one last question. So these cars originally came with gold line tires from the factory. Now, I noticed that your car has Goodyear tires. Why does your car have Goodyear tires instead of the gold lines?
Well, the thing was, I worked for Skyline Mobile Homes. I worked for them for 62 years. And I got them to use Goodyear tires on it. I don't remember what kind of tire came from the factory.
What was your relationship with Goodyear that you got a set of tires for this car?
That was with Rain's tire shop there in Ark City. And I got Skyline to switch over on their trucks. They had 12 trucks that I kept up. And those were the years that I was promoting Goodyear tires. And so they helped me with race tires. Well, in fact, you saw some of them there in the shop there that I had. And so I was credited for changing Skyline over to Goodyear.
So did Goodyear donate these tires to you?
No, but they gave me a big reduction.
Over the years that you've owned this car, what have you done to it?
Well, I tried to take care of it, change the oil when it's supposed to be changed, and lubed it and everything. But the fact that I had it undercoated when it was brand new, that was before I even took it out of the dealerships at Tubbs. Why, that was they did undercoating then. Can't do it nowadays.
Sure. Any modifications to the car over the years?
The water pump was the only problem that I had with it, and it was too small a water pump bearing in the early 396s.
Okay.
And so the water pump that's on it, Chevy gave me that one. I designed it, and they gave it to me to test.
No kidding.
On it, and they said you can just keep that one.
Okay.
Because we're going to put this into production now and to all the dealerships if they wanted it. So I had a real good relationship with General Motors, and even though I was doing work on GT350s with Mustangs with Shelby.
Yeah.
But he's seen the letter from Shelby and he complimented me on my engineering ability mechanically, and also the fact that I had taken his driver's school. And I'm kind of trying to think of it. They did this picture show on Ford versus Ferrari.
Yes, that's a great movie. Yes, I've seen that.
I'm trying to think of Shelby was one of the actors, and I can't think of the other one's name.
So they had a race car driver in there that was one of the main guys.
Yeah.
Can't remember.
And well, he was to be my driving instructor, and he was killed on the last corner out at Riverside.
Right.
And that upset me because they had tied the rear spoiler to hold pressure on in the corners. They had hooked it into fiberglass instead of steel, and that's what got Ken Miles.
Ken Miles,
his guy.
So
he gave me the idea on racing. The pictures that you'll see of me going through corners, it looks like the wheel is straight ahead, but it isn't. I have drifted.
Okay.
And that was what he told me. I learned a lot from him. I was very fortunate.
Any other history on your Z16 that you would like to talk about?
It's a perfect car.
How many miles are on it?
68,000.
68,000.
But it's the only problem I had was with the water pump, and it got 23 miles to the gallon with that big 396 engine in it.
Wow.
But I've done a lot of work for Holley carburetors, and like I say, I've just been lucky to deal with top-notch people like Ralph Miller, and as his own manager, and it was just one thing after another.
We appreciate you talking to us today.
Well, you got to thank this gentleman next to me.
I always thank Orlando. He's been a good friend for many years, and we keep in close contact. And he's a doctor too.
Oh, so definitely.
I bet he's taken care of both of us over the years.
Well, Orlando saved my life.
When I saved my life too.
No, seriously,
COVID,
I've got a picture of him doctoring me up there, but they were giving me the wrong medicines.
Right, I heard this.
Well, that's true, because I had family members that were there that vouched for the fact that if he hadn't have been there, I wouldn't have seen daylight the next day.
That's great.
So it's something that...
It's good to come across car friends that can help your health too.
Oh, you bet.
All right, that card there. I appreciate everything you did for us today in the car community, and we'll get your story out there.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Orlando. Mark Meldrum, Sponsor Garage. See ya.